All right, this is jpeg2RAW, show number 133, coming back after an extended Christmas break. Then I had to take an extra week. I had a few things going on, and I wasn't ready for last week, so we've extended it, and it's just perfect. Tonight we have A.D. Wheeler coming back on the show. A.D. was on a while back. I can't remember how long ago it was, a few months ago. And now he's coming back. He was one of our celebrity judges. Tonight we're going to go over the best of 2014 photo contest that we had from December. Before we get to that, I had a couple of things.
Mike, I got to step away a second.
Oh, okay. Yep, yeah. Oh, he has to really step away. Tim will be back in just a second. Before we get into that, we had a question or a comment from a listener that kind of had a question at the end. So let me go over that because it relates to what we're talking about tonight too. And it's from Justin Stroop. Hopefully I'm saying your last name right. It says, I am new to jpeg2RAW and really enjoy the podcast. I've been doing photography for about 3 years, and it's been very beneficial for a newbie like myself. This is a slow time of year for me, so I'm excited about your competitions. I wasn't exactly sure where you wanted these uploaded, so I've attached them to this message. And you put it on the Facebook page. And he had some questions about what is the preferred method for uploading the photos, and when is the next contest. And actually the one he was talking about is the photo editing challenge. So we have two normal things going on every month. One is just for the month, we have a photo challenge. For January through November, we have a photo challenge. And that is a specific topic that the winner from a previous challenge chooses. And you have to take it during that month, and it has to be for that topic. And then the best place to submit it is in our Facebook group, which just go to Facebook and search for jpeg2RAW. And there's several of them, but just the one that just says jpeg2RAW, which I think is just facebook.com/groups/jpeg2RAW. There's an album that's usually pinned to the top of the page, and that's where you would submit your photo for the photo challenge. You can also, there's a place to do it on our website. You can do it from there and send it to us directly, or you can even go on our forums and do it there. But the easiest place is in our group. The one he was talking about, the photo editing challenge, we hold those every other week. And there are images donated by other members. AD, I think you submitted some. Mm-hmm. Yep. We've used at least one or two of those, and some of the other people have submitted some. I don't see anybody out in chat right now who's submitted some, but Gina Perry, Nikki has submitted some, and those are available for download in our forums. You don't have to be a member, although I'd really appreciate it if you would join. You don't have to be a member, but you can download them from there. There is a album in the Facebook group where you can upload them to, and you basically have a week to edit them, and then a week for the judges to review them, which reminds me, Tim, I got to put them out there for us to review. and then the next, so you start like on a Sunday, you have to that Saturday to finish. That next Friday or Saturday, the next Saturday is when the judges announce the winner, and then we start all over again. And that one really is just a competition for or a challenge or whatever for us to learn editing skills and see what other people do. The photo contest, or photo challenge, I should say, that's held every month is themed, like I said before. And if you win, your image goes on the top of the page of the Facebook group. Right now we're not doing any kind of cash prizes or anything. It all depends on how much you use our Amazon link. The more you use that, the more money we have to use for things like that. Now for December, we don't have a photo challenge. We have a photo contest. And the difference is it's any image that you have taken during the year, and it's no topic, whatever topic you want, you submit it, and you have all the month of December to submit. And then this year we did something a little different. This year we had the normal admins do the initial review. So we had 36 entries, had the normal admins do the initial review, narrowed it down to this time 6, and then passed them on to a celebrity panel of judges. AD was one of them. And let's see, I think I have his webpage here. If I can find the thing. AD was one of them. Here's his website. He also has a, where's this, where you can go and download and purchase some of your different items?
Yeah, it's I just started development on a bunch of tools that I use a lot in my photography, and decided to make them available to everybody. And as part of the teaching that I do is kind of showing everybody how to actually make stuff like this. So I decided to finally just put them out there and let everybody have at them if they wanted to. And it's been really successful. We have a good time making the stuff for everybody.
Awesome. And Andy, I keep messing up his name. Andy, AD. I'm going to go back and forth, so just ignore that, please. I just found out you were on show number 121. We did an abandonescape with you, with these amazing photos. If you haven't seen it, go there. He went over where he takes photos of abandoned landscape, abandoned buildings. Had a great story about a little run-in that he had in one of the buildings, and it was a great show. And then,
I think that was probably my favorite show of all times.
Yeah,
I went back to so many of your, so much of your website. I really enjoyed that, I have to say.
Oh, well, thank you. I have fun doing it.
I'm sure you did.
So Andy was one of them. The other one was Ron Clifford. Why do I have images at the bottom of the screen? Where the heck are those coming from? I'm going to keep talking as we do this. I should mention that Andy is a master at the Arcanum, right? Say that right?
Yep.
And I believe one of our own, Nikki, is one of your students.
Yeah. And she's awesome. She's been doing a good job.
Very good. So if you're not familiar with the Arcanum, we did a show with Ron Clifford. Ron Clifford was our second judge. We did a show with Ron Clifford, and we talked about Ron, but we also talked in a little more detail about the Arcanum when he was on. So we'll have the link to all these guys' web pages in our show notes, and we'll have links to when they were on the show back then, too. Ron was back on show number 124. We did a show with Ron on the Arcanum. Our next judge was Mark Johnson, and he was on two of our shows. And he did one where he did, where he live edited a composite image that was on the cover of Photoshop User Magazine. And then his first time he was on, he did what were those called? Cinemagraphs. He did that. Amazing stuff. He also did a giveaway where he gave away one of his video editing tutorials, and he has a bunch of them on his website where you can go over to his website and look up his different video editing tutorials. A lot of free ones also on YouTube. Okay. Next judge was our very own Kathleen Bowie. And Kathleen, if you remember, if you're new, you don't remember her, but Kathleen was a co-host from like show number 20 or so through show number 40 or 50. I can't remember the time frame there, but she was on the co-host for quite a while, and she is primarily a infant and child photographer, but she's done weddings and other things like that. Very skilled. She was another one of the judges. And then the last judge was Andy Bloxham. Andy came on, and his website's not. I need to refresh his website. Andy came on, and he did something he called Shoot-a-Palooza. Very entertaining guy. He is a redhead, and he does special events around being a redhead. That's the only reason I mention it, because I don't usually mention people's hair color. But he really takes that in stride and does different shoots based on that. And he's a very creative shooter and just a fun guy to have on a show. He came back on later, and he did a show with us on the rule of thirds. So that's our panel. We did A.D. Wheeler, Ron Clifford, Mark Johnson, Kathleen Bowie, and Andy Bloxham. So I need another drink of water. Normally the admins would do the second round. So in the second round, the final round, those 5 judges reviewed all the images, gave us feedback on all the images, and AD is going to expand on a little bit of that tonight, gave feedback on all the images, and then rated them in different categories. All those ratings were put together, added up, and then they were ranked 1 through 6. We're going to go over the images tonight. We're not going to tell you who finished last or second to last. We're going to announce the 3 winners, starting with third place, second place, and then first place. But that's going to be a little bit later. So let's go over some of the images if y'all want to now. Let me get them queued up. There we go. Andy, do you want me to read what some people said, or do you want to just give feedback, or how do you want to do this?
No, you can go ahead and read what people said, and then maybe I'll chime in when we're done, or if there's any thoughts that didn't come out.
Okay. I am not going to. What I'm not going to do is say who said what, just so that I don't know if the judges knew that I was going to be sharing. I guess they had to. They had to know I was going to share it, but just in case. I'm not going to say who did what.
So do I just need to go on record and saying that I'm the only guy who's taking the brunt of what I said is actually on the show? So I'm going to put that out there to Ron Clifford, who's a friend of mine. If he's listening or he gets a chance to watch this, where is he tonight? He's sitting in the Arcanum somewhere playing around. That's what he's doing.
Yeah. So, and Ron was a good sport and agreeing. Everybody, I really appreciate everybody coming in here. Every one of these 5 judges are extremely busy, and we appreciate their time for doing this. They gave much better feedback than I know I would have. So I was glad that they took on this role and were judges rather than having to have me. With that, so the first one up is from, I should have had these labeled, but I'm pretty sure I know whose this is. This one is Dean Stone, and it's a gorilla. Hopefully, that's a gorilla. I don't know much more than the fact that it's a gorilla. He had some notes on where it was taken, that kind of stuff. It's in our forums. If you go there, and in the Facebook group, but in the forums, you go there, and it's got a little write up on what he wrote up about it. But first judge says, what I love most about this capture is that I can see the emotion in the gorilla's expression. Beautiful work using Photoshop. I would consider adding a little more light to the eyes. And then he provided a link to a couple of tutorials. You might also want to slightly darken the chest to draw more attention to the face. Okay, now another one said this is a solid image and is technically well done, but lacks the impact and connection that are possible in images of this kind. So when I go through this is not all positive. Some of it is feedback. We want some feedback on what can be improved in this image. I think, at least with my images, there's never a perfect image. They can always be improved.
Right.
I did find it interesting that not all the judges always agreed, and especially with their rating, there was some differential in the rating where one judge would see one thing, one judge see another, which goes to this whole thing and why it's an art and not a science. It's a lot of this is subjective. Okay, next judge. Technically, this image needs a bit of work. The overall image needs some levels or curves work done out of the details. See that there's a lot of room for more things to bring impact to this image. So that one's a little bit more critical. This last one is this image is all about the eyes. There's a direct connection, and a photo feels very compassionate. The high angle adds to this feeling. I don't know if it's in a zoo or in the wild or somewhere else, but it feels like a makeshift studio regardless. Wow, I think that's a big compliment because it wasn't a zoo. When scrolling through the images, this is the one I kept wanting to rest on and take in. Another good compliment. There's a subtle power to the image and that I'm drawn in. I wish the chests weren't so comparably bright than the face. Okay, so that's all the judges except for one.
Would that be me?
That would be you.
Everyone but me. Well, it's funny that you said that the subjectivity of it all, because that is really what it's all about. And I think the important thing with all of these images and with all the images that were submitted, the important thing is that you're all in there, and that's the good part of it. And this critiquing part of it is really whether you win or whether you lose. The important thing is to take it as a learning experience, and that should drive you to really delve deeper into what you're doing. Because in all of these photos, I saw amazing potential. I saw you know, for me, they're all top notch. They're very close. It was difficult judging, very difficult amongst all of them. So for me, what I have to do, unfortunately, is I get around the net pretty good, and I'm always looking for inspiration myself. And so I get to see a lot of stuff like this. And this particular photo, I felt like the other judges, the emotion in the eyes, the kind of look, you know, the gorilla's looking up at you. I knew instantaneously that this was in a zoo. I mean, it's just the look. Gorillas don't have this look in the wild. They're not looking like, I'm in a cage right now, dude. You know, I see you people walk by me every day. I'm not amused. I mean, that's basically what this, they have a different look in the wild if you compare the differences. And I had done a Creation Wars, that is one of the things that we do at the Arcanum now, that this show that Trey hosts. And we bring in all of our apprentices and we kind of go head-to-head battling. It's pretty crazy, but and then, you know, one person comes out the winner. And one of the guys who submitted and won, I think in the very first week that we did it, his name is Christian Meerman, and he's from England. And immediately when I saw your image, I had this other image in my head, because there's such an amazing job that he did on this shot. Even though it was a zoo, there was a little extra post to it. He kind of took the background out of it and really focused in on the gorilla's face and turned it into a black and white image. And I mean, there's just that little extra that you've got to kind of go with these images. I think it's an excellent way above average image for a zoo shot. If you take your camera to a zoo, go ahead and try to get a shot like this and you'll see how difficult it is. But then when you get home, in order to compete in that amazing market that's of photographers that is out there today, you really got to push just a little bit more to bring that image so it just rips people apart. They really just cannot stop looking at it. So I think it's very close, technically awesome image. I couldn't take a photo like this in a zoo, I'll tell you that. But the post-processing on it, I think you could have pushed it just a little bit more and focused more on those eyes and that face, because I do agree with the white spot on the chest. The little bit of gray in there is a little bright on the bottom, a little bit of a distraction away from what the real story is, which is the face and the eyes. So,
and do you think he took this through the glass? And I think he's out there in chat right now. Took it through the glass or over top of the?
I looked at the chat, and I believe that he said in here somewhere that he took it through the glass.
Wow!
So, excellent job. Yeah,
that's excellent.
Yeah, that's what I said. I mean, when you're in a zoo, there's all sorts of obstacles. I mean, if you're outdoors, there's, you go with a super wide aperture to remove the fence, if you've got a fence, but it's always still there, kind of. It's very hard to post that out. So, this is an amazing job of doing that. Right. That's definitely, like I said, technical merits on capturing the image. I guess probably what the most that I'm trying to get across to everybody who entered tonight is that technically you guys are kicking butt, and that's not the problem. It's the afterwards. And anymore, it's not good enough just to bring home a photo and say, boom, there it is. It just doesn't, these days you really got to, go out there and take a look at what your competition is. And if you're trying to make your mark, you got to put a little bit more oomph into it. That's all I'm saying. Okay.
And Dean is saying it's not through the glass. So he was out, in the open. Yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead.
So he was like in the wild.
No, I think it was in the zoo, but I don't think like he was in a cage. I think maybe the gorilla was out a little bit away from the glass where you can get the angle and shoot over the glass or something. Nice. Dean will correct me here in a second if I'm wrong, but I think that's what he's saying. I have shot through fence like you're talking about before when I'm shooting baseball, and you can blur it out, but it's just not quite right. You can. It's almost like if you did something with the levels, you could bring the fence back, or the outline of the fence. It's just still there a little bit. All right, so let's move on to the next shot, and let me get rid of us so we're not over top of them.
I'm gonna throw Dean, since he's here. I'm gonna throw him a link so he can take a look at Christian's work, so he can check that out.
Oh, awesome!
Hopefully, he'll be inspired.
And Tim, if you would grab that link, then we can put it in the show notes.
Where
and
is
Dean
the
said
link?
it's 50 feet away. So before we go on to the next one, I forgot to say what's up for the winners tonight. So let me flip back to us. And the winner has a choice of this Lightroom Photographer's Plan prepaid 1-year membership. Whatever the value of that is, a little over $100. Or if you already have that and you're saying, what am I going to do with it? You could also, instead of that, get a $100 Amazon.com gift card.
Wow. Awesome.
One of those two. If they choose the Amazon gift card, then that means we'll have to have some other kind of contest or giveaway. Give this away. It won't go to one of the other winners. Sorry, guys. But it'll go to, we'll have to do some other kind of contest or giveaway. Then I will not commit myself to something I didn't say, but I think I said this. I don't have the notes up here. The second place winner gets $50 Amazon gift card, Amazon.com. And the third place winner gets $25 Amazon.com gift card. The top three will get something. All right. Now on to the second image. These are in no particular order, so don't try and read anything into the order here. These are in no particular order. Okay, this one I'll go through the comments again. This one's from Donna
Lascaris.
I'm probably saying the first name wrong. Dananen. And I am not going to assume male or female because I've messed that up in the past. So, that person's not out in chat.
I would agree with you.
If that person knows any more information, put it out in chat. All right. So the comments, this image is so powerful that it brought tears to my eyes. I absolutely love the emotion in the scene. Crying newborn and smiling mother. Beautiful composed, timeless capture. In a perfect world, both of the baby's eyes would have been tack sharp, although they're close. I don't know how you would do that. I might also consider slightly darkening the lower right-hand corner. For our audio listeners, this is a baby on top of a mother. Looks like recently born, like in the last few minutes. Born.
Yeah, I would agree.
You can see a little bit of the mother's face from like the nose down, and then you have the crying baby on her chest, and it's all in black and white. All right, next judge, an exceptional image with strong emotional charge and very good composition. A memorable and wonderful image. I'm doing my best to look past the watermark. And that's a good thing. So I know a lot of people want to watermark their images. Make sure it doesn't distract from the image, because while this judge was able to look past it, another judge may not be able to. All right. Next judge. Technically, this image was well executed. I love to have both eyes of the baby tack sharp. Wow, that's no judge saw the other judge's comments. So you'll hear some common themes among these judges too. But that is personal preference and not technically incorrect. So I still gave them a blank. I'm not going to tell you what they gave them. And they go on to say what some of their other scores are, so I'm going to have to skip some of this. This is more journalistic than creative. The emotion from the image is beautiful, and emotion is everything in photography. And so that's why this image got a great overall score from me. Composition is great. The only reason I didn't give it a 10, I will tell you that, is because I like to shoot down the nose and not up the nose. So I guess shooting up the nose of the baby. But I understand that this is more journalistic and not a great capture in the moment. This is a great image. All right, last one. There's something special about the moment when a mother is first united with a newborn. This also captures the relationship between the giving of the parent with the self-centric nature of a small baby and how the relationship eventually evens out. As a photo, I was a bit lost at first when the light background behind the baby's head, and I'm still not sure what I'm looking at. The watermark, here's another one saying that about the watermark. The watermark, though, I understand its usage, is a direct counter focus point to the crying baby. The photo captures the moment of what it is, though I'm not sure it exists powerfully as an image beyond documentation. I'm probably not reading these great, so I'm going to also put these in show notes without names. I'll say Judge 1, Judge 2, Judge 3. But I'll put those in the show notes too, so when you go back and say, Micah, you didn't read those well enough. Some of it is the sentences, some of it is me, but I'll put them there as is. I won't edit their sentences, spelling errors or whatever, and I'm really good at making spelling errors, so no judgment there. But I'll include all that in the show notes. All right.
I'll let you change that. I won't make any changes yet then.
Yeah, don't, because I have their names attached to it now.
For a reason, yes.
I can't put that in the regular show notes. All right, AD, what is your feedback on this one?
Well, I saw the focal plane thing, and I really, for me, so it's an image that's to capture a moment. And the baby's almost dead center in the moment with the mother off to the side. To me, I would have liked to maybe seen a balance in the thirds of more of the baby and 1/3 and see more of the mother. I was a little confused by what that is behind the mom too, whether her arm's up or I don't think it is, but it's the background is a little busy. But the situation to where the photographer was at could have easily put the rest of the mom in there in the focal plane along with the baby. I think there was enough there to get them both in there. So, I think I looked at it as a journalistic shot as well. I wasn't really, I think the creativity here in the black and white, we always know what black and white does to a photo. And I didn't talk about the watermark either. And I didn't talk about the watermark on any of the shots, anybody's watermarks, because I'm pretty sure most of them had them. Mm-hmm. And just that's a whole show. I can do a whole show on watermarks. So, I just didn't get into any of that. I kind of,
I knew you were going to.
I kind of discounted that. I just don't pay attention to that. I'm just looking at the photo for what it is. Right. And yeah, I just thought that the composition could have been a little bit more balanced between it, because it's a story of the mother and the child and not the mother's mouth and the child sort of thing. I wanted to see more of the mom a little bit. So, and if it was a photo for the parents and the mother, I think they might have, maybe, I don't know. Maybe she had 2 black eyes. I'm not sure. So I don't know what mom looked like, but yeah, that's all I saw in the photo. I thought it was, technically everything else about it was great. So
I almost said a judge's name, but what one of the judges was saying was they would shoot, instead of shooting up the nose, shoot down the nose. So would that be you would get more up on the mother and shoot down that way?
Yeah, I think that probably would have been the case. And, it's so hard to make a suggestion to anybody because you're not in the room and you don't know what they're shooting around. You don't know if there's a wall or something, and we can be crazy photographers and knock things over and move things out of our way to get a shot sometimes, but generally not in a hospital. So,
in this thing, probably the least important person in the room is the photographer.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Probably. Yeah. I'm pretty sure. Definitely.
And you're having to deal with whatever's going on in the room, and you can't say, hold on, I need to move my lights over here. And can you stand over here? And who knows what was happening down below in the mother. So, we don't know, like you said, we don't know what's going on there, but you have to assume some things and say, hey, if I was going to improve this shot, here's what I would do. Whether that was even a possibility or not, you don't know.
But the critique is just for future reference.
Exactly.
Great shot and things to think about.
I even wonder if this was I wonder if this was in a hospital, because looking at the mother, it doesn't look like she's got a gown on. So this may be some other type of birthing center as well.
It could be, yeah.
Could be, yeah.
Could be. Because
otherwise, I'm thinking that in the background to her is probably a bed rail.
True.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. Now that AD said something about an arm, now that's all I see is something that might be a arm, but it looks.
I hope it's not a arm, because that's a really weird angle. Then.
Yeah. So I don't think it is. All right, next up is.
I don't think I could do that.
Yeah. Next up is Doug Curran. And, taking a shot that I have personally loved, because shooting swimming is one of my favorite things to do. He's shooting the butterfly, right? Yeah. Butterfly. Mm-hmm. Great capture as the guy's coming out of the water. Pretty sharp. And, just, the emotion of the challenge of this, the sports challenge. All right. So let me give you some of the feedback. Spectacular capture of a swimmer in motion. This is not easy to do, and you've done an excellent job. To add even more impact, you may want to add a little more light to the swimmer and subtract a little light from the top and bottom of the scene. What is happening there, of course, is the reflection from whatever lights are in the arena background that are affecting the water. Select a sharpening on the subject, and the water immediately around him would add even more drama to the scene. And then this judge provided a link to that. I mean, I guess I'm going to have to put the link somewhere else so they don't know who did what. All right, another judge, very good composition and good sharpness, if not a little over sharpened. This is also a common view, and so falls short in creativity, but nonetheless a strong, well exposed professional image. I don't know what conditions Doug was shooting in. I know all the conditions I shoot in for swimming. Absolutely horrible lighting. I mean, you're shooting ISO 12,800 at a shutter speed of maybe 1.5, 1.600, something like that, 1.800 if you're lucky, at f2.8. I mean, it's just horrible lighting. So I'm not sure what his lighting conditions are, but it's a great image if it was in challenging lighting too. Technically sound, the emotion is nice. You feel the rush. I'd like to see the edit have a little more punch. Last judge, great timing on the capture. The photo appeals to me on a technical level first, from the patience and attention it requires to achieve it. All of the components come together to show a real commitment to the sport. Some of the overlying compositional elements, like the close but not quite symmetrical framing, make me wish it was more precise to complement the wonderful timing. Some of that, I guess, I don't know, maybe Doug didn't crop this at all. As a sports, one of the things I learned in sports photography, because I started cropping stuff at first, and then you'd crop it, and then the parent would order a blow up of what you just crop way down, and now you're stuck.
Yeah, you can't blow that up.
So I actually have been trained in a way that I'm anti-cropping, and I'm having to try and take myself out of it a little bit. But that's where I grew up, and maybe that's what he did here is he didn't crop it. I don't know what he did here, but.
Well, I think what they may be talking about is you look at the rope on the left, it's more straight going back to the one on the right. So it almost looks like he was off center to the lane, but it almost looks like the swimmer was further to the left as well. So if he had moved to the right to get it centered in the lane, the swimmer would have been coming directly at him. I think the swimmer is definitely off center himself. Now, Doug is maybe a little bit off too, but getting off subject here a little bit. It's much better for the swimmer to say it's right in the center. They lose speed by going off to the side a little bit, but this is probably a high school sport, so they're not perfected yet. Okay, AD, what's your feedback on this one?
Well, just to address that point really quick, I think probably this was taken from the swimmer's platform. So there's a good chance the only way to be that low was to be next to the platform where they dive off from. So there's a good chance it couldn't have been on center unless you're at the other end of the pool where there isn't a platform. I'm not sure. Again, we can't really tell. I can't even see in the reflections which end of the pool they were at. But that's just my thought. When I looked at this image, I really didn't even look at the symmetrical aspect of it because basically the lane markers are blended in well with the water. I think here that the main subject screams at you, which is the swimmer himself and him rushing out of the water to take that next stroke. I loved the fact of the technical side of it captured, like everything you've already talked about. It's extremely difficult. They do not make sports arenas at this level, especially photographer friendly. There are only a very few schools that I've ever visited where they've had, syncable flashes and all that good stuff. And that's usually collegiate on up, and only your better collegiate schools have that. So, if this was high school, you're definitely not going to get a syncable flash in here. All the technical side I really liked. And it's funny you mentioned the crop because I know you've obviously read the comments, and one of my comments was the crop. Actually, I'm a creative photographer, so I would probably have included a cropped version and an uncropped version if it was shot without cropping it to get it to this point, which means that if you had to crop it to get it this point and then crop it again, your chances of blowing it up into anything are going to be pretty slim. I did download most of these photos and look at them closely, and this photo seemed to have a little bit of extra sharpening to it. And I don't know whether it had noise from the high ISO. Not getting a chance to see any EXIF data on any of these photos is difficult to talk about the technical aspect. Seeing how well the shot is taken, I have to assume that all of the settings were correct. So if it was a noise issue and you got it looked like over sharpening to me when I got in close. If that was caused by noise, there's some programs out there. I don't want to mention anything in case I can't, but there's some stuff out there that can actually nowadays 12.5 can take noise completely out of a photo, out of a RAW file. My big thing was I thought that this would have worked really well in a wide crop. I just think bringing all of that negative water space that's in that blue line that's in the water there, getting rid of all of that and bringing it up so where he was perfectly centered, because he's like the story here and he's like jumping out of the photo. And I could just see this in a large format wide photo would look amazing. I mean, it's, it's the focus point is perfect. This was, not giving anything away, but personally out of the whole bunch, this was my favorite image. So.
Which makes a point that many judges didn't vote for their favorite wasn't the same. We had, I think, 3 or 4 photos that had a judge that liked it, as their favorite. That's a good point. There's no reason you can't mention those unless you're obligated not to mention them. For our show, we have no sponsors or anything. Nope.
Okay.
I have actually refused 3 different sponsors who approached us because Tim and I are going to remain. We don't do this for money.
Gotcha.
So you mentioned some noise software. I've used the Topaz Lab one, and then the one, of course, built into the Lightroom. Which ones are you recommending?
Go blow your mind and try out the trial version of DxO Pro Optics 9.
Okay.
Just the noise reduction. Don't use all of the other stuff. They'd hate me if they heard me say this, but don't use all the other stuff. Just go in and use they have a lens profiler, which is nice. You use the lens profiler and it gives you this option called prime noise reduction. I've never seen anything like it in my entire life. I've shot stuff at like 12.5 and there's not a bit of noise left when it's done, and it doesn't anti-alias the photo. You think it's voodoo when you see it for the first time. I've done some, I think on my Facebook page somewhere in the mess somewhere, there's a comparison that I did a side-by-side where you at a 1-to-1 so you could really see the difference. And it just amazes me. I've tried Topaz. I'm affiliated with Topaz, so I have a deal with them. Nope. Sorry, Topaz, but nothing touches the DxO Pro Optics 9. And then they're in revision 10 now, which is supposedly even better. So
we happen to have a Topaz affiliate link too, which is jpeg2RAW.com/Topaz Labs.
What a segue.
Okay, very good. I'll have to try that out. You're writing that down, huh, Tim?
Yes, it's already in the show notes.
Okay. All right, next up is...
Timothy in the chat is on it already.
Next. Okay, where's the notes? There you are. Maybe you just deleted everything on me, Tim.
I thought I did for a second. When you said that, I was like, I know I hit something I thought I did for a second.
All right, next up is Gina Perry, who is actually out in chat right now, coming as late over in England somewhere. So thanks for staying up late with us, Gina. All right, I'll go right into... So this one, let me describe it for our audio listeners. And audio listeners, come over to the website after I have the show notes up so you can see all these images, or go to our Facebook group or our forums where you can see all the images too. This one is a baby in it's a very dark black scene with a baby coming in from the head, the face look, being held in 2 hands, and you see the baby's hand coming over the person's hands. I'm assuming held by a female, could be the mother or someone else. The skin looks very, very good, very well exposed, and good white balance on the skin. So now for the judges, what they have said. The first one, spectacular photo. So touching, flawless lighting, beautiful composition. These short sentences really work well for me. The subject matter and the lighting draw my eye to the subject, and it lingers there for quite some time. Excellent color rendition too. Right. Next judge, technically very well exposed and excellent focus on the eyes, good skin tone, and good choice of strength of the vignette. I'm quite distracted by some of the peeling skin, and even though it's accurate, does not really contribute to the image. It would have been good to have reduced some or all of the more obvious skin peeling on the baby's hand arm. This is a solid image, and I am sure the parents are very proud to display it. So we had a couple of judges say something about the skin peeling, and I know that is something that is, some people like to keep it, some people don't like to keep it. That's, a subjective view there. All right, next judge. I can't say the first sentence because they give out their scores. Technically, it did not score as high for me because in a newborn photography, posing is essential, and I would like to see the front hand pulling back and placed under the baby's cheek. They said that, and they actually scored very high, so I don't know what's going on there. And not out in front. Also, the image is being lit from the wrong direction. I'm not sure what that is. The light is not exactly up the nose, but it's not drawn down the nose either. And the light should be coming in from the other direction, going down the bridge of the nose. Last comment, the lighting is my favorite part. So here we get some of the contradiction. The lighting is my favorite part. Just the spot of soft light on the child is really well done. The strength of the mother's arms tell the whole story without the need to see the full body in the background. Great technical lighting skills. I feel like I've seen this image before in various newborn photo sets, but not technically often with this type of lighting. Not typically often with this type of lighting. Okay. There it is. Again, Gina, I have all these show notes, all this stuff in the show notes, so you can get past my reading of them. Andy, what's your thoughts on this image?
I can't remember exactly what I sent along to Gina on this in my comments, but I think I remember something about, to me, when I look at this, I think there was a thing with the, and I can't remember. This is going to kill me.
You going to read yours?
No, that's all right. Okay. I think that mainly I'm just looking at it now, and I'm just going to come off the cuff with what I see now, because portraiture is something that is, the last 3 years I've started to delve into it. I've worked with a portrait photographer and learned, pretty much sucked his brain as dry as I possibly can, and then adapted all of that to kind of my own sort of thing. So when I comment, it's generally going to be on the creativity of the photo, some of the things that balance the photo a little bit for me. With everything in the center of this photo, really the story is in the center, the hands below, the baby above, which is nice. I think that having the arm cut off on the right or the left, or the right person's right arm, if I'm seeing it going in the right direction.
Our left.
Your left. Okay. There you go. That I think that a little stronger vignette there, and faded that into black a little bit more, would have been a little stronger for the image, because the arm on the other side is vignetted out and fades out nicely, and it just gives that focus point more towards the center rather than drawing my eye out a little bit to the side. I mean, this is probably a very close second for me. I really like this image a lot, and it's really out of my genre, so it says a lot too.
Very good. All right. Next up is Gordon. And I believe this is his daughter. This was actually one of my favorites. All 6 of them are great, but this was one that he entered in a contest earlier in the year, and it got my votes, and it didn't make it into the finals. And I was very upset about that. But it was one of my favorites. So let me give the feedback on this one. Okay. And for the audio listeners, this is another dark background. It's got his daughter wearing, I think, a blue dress that you see from a little bit above waist up. And she's wearing she has one of those masks that you hold on a stick covering up her face. And she's looking straight at the camera. All right, technically this image is impeccable. The lighting and color are absolutely gorgeous. In a perfect world, I would like to see more emotion in the subject. The composition could be stronger if the subject eyes were placed on a PowerPoint where the rule of thirds lines intersect. Okay. Although I like the drama created by the black background, the scene could be even stronger with a more compelling story supporting background. The subject would also benefit from just a tiny bit more light in the eyes. Okay. Next, judge. The concept is excellent, though I don't like to see a child in this role. The focus on the face is good, if not a bit too intentional, and without any type of separation or kicker, it takes too strong a contrast. Takes on too strong of a contrast in all but the skin. The retouch is impressive on the skin, but a bit too aggressive, even for a styled image like this one. But the overall look and impact make up for it in the end. The composition being central is safe, but average, and having her off to either the right or the left, I would say to the left would be more ideal. The frame would be more creative and well done. Well done overall. I guess maybe when you talk about, I don't like to see a child in this one. This is, in my opinion, is not a sensual look at all. I didn't get that from this image at all. So maybe if you have some thoughts of people with those masks, you're thinking of a certain way. That's not what I got from this image at all. But that's, again, why this is subjective. Technically, it's nice. I think the whites of the eyes are overdone a bit. Nice creativity with the purple eyes and the diamond sparkles. It's not very emotional for me. It's sweet, but does not tug at the emotional heartstrings. Emotion is everything in photography. And then the last judge, I appreciate the isolation of the figure from any recognizable background. Nice soft lighting, particularly on the mask, without the harsh reflections. I appreciate the subtle gradient of light coming from the bottom. I'm not particularly drawn in to the expression. Fairly static. Okay. So that was that, Judge. What's your thoughts on this one, AD?
Well, there's a reason why I got it confused, especially with the last photo, which was on black as well. So it now came to me as you're describing this. This was the photo that when I looked at this on my calibrated monitor, there was, and this is the monitor that I religiously, like every 2 weeks, I'm on this thing. And I do all of my editing on it, that I could see some not JPEG noise, but it looked like where the masking was done, there was a gradient difference between the background and very close to her in the scene. So I don't know if it's something that you can easily throw this photo in Photoshop and turn up the brightness in Photoshop, and you'll be able to see what I saw. So might want to check your monitor on that, Gordon. I know you're in the chat right now. I'm not sure, but I could see it on my monitor. I know for sure. My overall feeling with this is that you're moving down a creative path. You've got this wonderful subject. Kids, when you've got kids who are willing to work with their parents when it comes to photography, not breaking any laws here, but take advantage of that. Mm-hmm. Put them to work if they're into it. Man, I mean, that's a great resource to have. And I think that without, I didn't think of this as an evocative or suggestive photo at all. I thought it was cute. I just think that it needed to be, I think my remarks too were about centering the image. I think more, I look for an image like this more to the right or to the left. And on a black background, honestly, when you're showing this, this is not shot in portrait if anybody's watching this at home, because sometimes black photos that are shown on a podcast and the background's black, you can't tell whether it's portrait or landscape. So this is a landscape shot. And I just think because it's a landscape shot, I would really like to see Gordon work with a backdrop or give more story. I think that was mentioned by somebody else. I think it's amazing that, we all think kind of the same way. I just think that the image goes down the road a certain ways and then it's stopped, and I think there can be more creativity. And it's certainly an image that was well done. So you still have it there and can add to it and continue on. It doesn't look done to me at this point. I think it's technically great as far as the settings and all of that. And I think I remarked a little bit about the sparkles on the wand. I thought that was cool, but I just think you got to take it another step and go with the background, go with something that really makes this image tell a story and pop.
So would you say this would be better doing it in portrait mode, than landscape?
It depends on what you're going to do for a backdrop. There are so many different ways to go with that. I've seen so many artistic images that with like a Victorian backdrop, or even working with just overall textures and things like that, just to add a little bit of mystery to the photo and just give it that little extra edge. I don't think it would matter. If you're going to stay in landscape, I would move her to the left or to the right, whichever you felt balanced the image. I think I agree with somebody else that to the left probably would give the image a little bit more power. So yeah, if you're going to keep it in landscape, move her to the left. If you're going to keep it in portrait, I think she can stay in the middle. I'm not. She's the subject, and that's where your eyes are going to go. And when we have portraits, our focus is usually the story that's told in the eyes. So we're not gonna look at the center of the photo here. There's just nothing to look at in the center. So we're gonna go to the mask and the eyes. So I think that's in the upper third, and I think you're okay there. But I think it needs something in the background just to really put it over the top.
Okay. All right. Our last image is from Mark Dement, and this one is I don't know what it is of, but it looks like it's a nighttime shot where a long exposure where he's getting the stars and the Milky Way or whatever that's in the sky, some kind of features that are in a night sky. It is doing some kind of effect down below in the trees where you can see some details of the trees, but it's definitely a long exposure image of a night sky.
He actually describes it as his first successful shot of the Milky Way.
Oh, there you go. Very good. All right, so here we go with the comments. Compelling composite, gorgeous colors, amazing sky capture, creative idea. I like the way the fire ties the foreground and the sky together. I guess there's a fire on the ground and the smoke is rising up, almost like it goes into the Milky Way. In a perfect world, the foreground subject matter would be more interesting and engaging. To really sell the composite, you need to eliminate the haloing running around the edges of the horizon and provide some links. So, and that's going to be a common theme you're going to hear through here, the haloing that happens. And maybe you can talk a little bit about that when we come to you, AD.
Yep.
This image is nice, and fire helps it a bit more. Helps it be a little more different than many I've seen. Technically, the sky is processed well, but the foreground is not as well done, and the halos and at the transition of the land to the sky really hurt the final score. Technically, I see a lot of halos, so you're going to hear this from every judge. I see a lot of halos around the tree line, so that hurt this image technical score. Nice creativity, and with adding the starry sky in post, and having the heat from the flame more into the sky. I like it. Makes me want to go there, relax, roast marshmallows, and look at the stars. And then the last judge, imagery like this is really remind me of how small we are in the scope of the universe. A family having a bonfire, meaning the rest of everything in existence continues to happen in the background. I appreciate the combination of the illuminated foreground with the harder to see dark elements of the sky made visible. I do wish the halos weren't surrounding everything in a horizon line, which takes me out of this image and into pondering HDR process. Overall, fun image that puts things into perspective. So since every judge had something to say about the haloing, can you spend a little bit of time on haloing and what that is? You probably cannot see it if you're watching us in the live audio right now, live show right now. You're going to need to go to the website or the Facebook page and look at it there. You're not going to be able to see it here. But AD, can you tell us a little bit about what they're talking about?
Well, yeah. Generally, when you take any photo and you're going to process it, post-process it, and if you're going to do processing on the Milky Way, I can tell you right now, there's a lot of processing that needs to be done because of the dynamic range between the foreground, the fire. I don't think this is a composite image. I might be going out on a limb here. You guys might know more about this image than I do, but I felt that this was probably an image that was taken in one long exposure shot. It looks about 25 seconds.
15 seconds, ISO 1600, a stitch of 5 or 6 shots.
Okay, so I think a stitch means that he probably put some frames together, but I don't think he composited this.
Right, that's what I think it is.
Right. So when you're processing the Milky Way, so this looks like a few of my comments all pulled together. This is right in my wheelhouse of things I like to shoot, and I have shot many shots of the Milky Way and done it in my city, which is, I know it's extremely difficult because if you have light pollution at all, the Milky Way just does not appear. And there were only a couple of times this year, I'm from upstate New York. There's only a couple of times this year that we could see the Milky Way at all with our naked eye. And that was about 10 miles out of town. So to capture that in a camera, I had mentioned it takes, you got to get the right equipment. You really have to shoot with a 2.8 lens. You really have to shoot wide. If you're going out there with an f4 lens or f3.5, it's not going to do the job. It just does not have the capability to capture everything that you're going to want to do that with. You really do have to have it in f2.8 and be shooting at 2.8 to get good star shots. So I'll save you a lot of trouble on that end of it. That's the technical side of shooting it. On the processing side, what happens when you have a light source in the background, such as the ambient light or the light pollution that you're seeing near the horizon, and then you have such a dark contrasty piece right in front of it, when you start jacking the levels in Lightroom or whatever your favorite plugin software is, or whatever you decided to process this with, what's going to happen is those programs, when they're adjusting the palette, they do the best that they can near those edges. But what happens is you end up with these halos, and it just compounds them when you're processing. So it's a very tough thing to get right. And I think my overall opinion on this, or critique on this, was just, this is a unbelievable first time job at this. Yeah. I work with students all the time, and they come back with these shots and they're all frustrated. They they go out for a whole evening and they come back with nothing. It's out of focus. It's this, it's that. It's too noisy. It's this, it's that. And so for a first time shot and you're a finalist, that's a win right there. I mean, wherever you came in, for me, as far as I'm concerned. But when you're going to do a Milky Way shot, go on to 500px and just type in Milky Way. Okay. And that's what you're going up against in the real world out there. And you got guys like Michael Shainblum, who is the Milky Way photographer, pretty much. Kenneth Brandon is also another guy, if you want to check out his work. Look at their processing on YouTube, and I'll put some links in the chat. Those guys really can show you how to bring out and take your best shot of the Milky Way. And it's the backdrop. I didn't dislike the fire, but having it like in a neighborhood somewhere, I mean, you got this amazing Milky Way and a bonfire in a neighborhood, and it didn't tell a cool story to me. I want to see the Milky Way over a beautiful lake somewhere with a bonfire going. I mean, that's what I want to see in a photo. There's a house in here. There's a couple of houses in here actually. And that really didn't do it for me. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm spoiled because I looked at all these other images. But yeah, that was my main thing. It's an amazing start at astrophotography, and you should really pursue it and really want to get out to these remote locations and do more of this, because if you're doing this good and you're just starting, then you got a really good start at being good at this. So
very good. Well, thank you for the feedback on all of these, AD, and thank you for being a judge. And you have one more thing to offer tonight. So you want to get to that before we go to the countdown of the winners?
Well, yeah, everybody who was in the finalists tonight is going to get a bundled copy of all of my stuff that I have on my website right now. And it's all based around creativity. So you can take it and use it for a coaster if you want, or, or you can actually play around with the stuff and see what you can come up with. But I'm giving that away to all the finalists tonight to have fun with. And that's the main thing. Have fun with it and enjoy it. And I think it's like a $60 item or something like that. But we're going to get everybody's emails and we're going to send them out a nice link so they can download that and play with it.
Awesome. Is that the all-in-one bundle?
That is the all-in-one bundle on my site, yes.
Okay. And so I have your site pulled up here. If you are not one of the finalists and you want to go and check out AD's site and maybe buy one of these, because they're all reasonably priced, it is wisemines.com/ADWP store. And you could also just go to AD Wheeler's website, adwheelerphotography.com, and then there'll be a link to the store from there. So you can go to either way. So all 6 of the finalists will get that. If you guys will email me at podcast@jpeg2RAW.com, then I will pass all your emails on to AD, and he will handle getting you what you need to get. So thank you, AD, for that. And now on to the scoring. Scoring was amazingly tight. I think every image won in some category. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 categories. Every image won or tied in some category, basically. No, not every image, which is strange. You can finish very high in the rankings and not win a category. That's weird how this works. And I know that some of the people out there, and Tim has seen this, how we do the ranking. You add up the points from all the different judges and all the different categories, the highest point wins. So since we're at the hour now, let's go ahead and do the countdown, starting with the third placed image. I should get this ready, shouldn't I? Yeah. With the third placed image, and the winner of a $25 Amazon.com gift card, whatever that is Doug Curran with the swimming shot.
Yay.
Hopefully I said your name right, Doug. Congratulations, Doug. Excellent shot. This was one of my favorites. I love the emotion in the swimmer, and I know how challenging getting these kind of shots are. It's just amazingly difficult. If you look at these, you don't unless you know what Doug had to go through to get this shot, you don't realize how difficult it is. Doug will probably come back and say, "Oh no, it's easy for me." It's not easy for me. I've shot a lot of these, and the timing and all that is key here. So Doug wins third place. Congratulations, Doug. Come back to us and get number second place ready. Number second place. There you go. All right. In second place, and the winner of a $50 Amazon.com gift card is Gina Perry.
Yay, Gina.
And Gina, this was very close. Very close. And it came down to the final judge. Amazing. Amazing image. And I'm going to have to work out something with Gina because she's not in America. And I don't know if she can use an Amazon.com gift card. So Gina, we'll have to talk offline on how we're actually going to achieve that, because I don't think I can buy a Amazon.uk card. I don't know how that works, but congratulations. Excellent shot. Wonderful, emotional, felt great shot. All right. And that leaves us with the final image. Not yet, Tim. I gotta get ready.
That's not even me.
Oh.
We lost out on all my fanfares.
The final image is from Donanan.
Dun, dun, dun.
Another,
job.
And you would think that, we had mainly male judges and the two baby shots and finished first and second. Very, very close judging on this, and excellent job with this image. Where is her name? There we go. And you win either a $100 Amazon.com gift card, or you can't see it because I got the image up, or the 1-year prepaid Photoshop photography plan, which is Photoshop CC and Lightroom. You get this little card for 1 year prepaid, and then from then on, you do whatever you want to with it. Your choice of either one of those. I will contact you, and then you can tell me which one you want. Gina, we'll figure out something on how we'll get you that $50 one way or the other. PayPal probably works through there. We can do that too. So just a reminder that the way we're able to do this is through everybody using our Amazon.com Amazon.com link, which is jpeg2RAW.com/Amazon. You just use it every time you go there. Don't do what I did. I bought a large item, and I was going to put it on a friend's account, because he was a fellow podcaster. I was going to use his. So I had it in I had the item I was going to buy in my cart. I said, I forgot to use his link. I deleted the cart, went to his website, came back, then put the stuff back into my cart. Apparently that doesn't work. He never got credit for it. You have to use the link before you go to Amazon, or else we won't get credit. So it makes me wonder how many people are actually doing it, because I say this every week. How many people are actually doing it, and then we're not getting credit for it because they forget at first and go back and set it up.
See, I don't think I do it that way all the time. I know I put it in the cart, and then I close down the browser, go back into the link, and it's in the cart, and then I order it. Yeah, and I think most of the time what I order goes to you.
Probably not.
I don't know. I gotta have this on your list of what I ordered, and it's been quite a bit lately.
Yeah, it's supposed to work that if you go to the link and you put stuff in your cart from anytime after you've been to the link and haven't closed your browser, it's supposed to be writing a cookie that saves all of that. And then even if you close your browser after you put it in your cart and then you reopen it again, it's supposed to do it. But
I just wish somehow it would say, like, this is an affiliate somewhere along in your cart. It would be really nice if they would do that.
I agree.
Just so I can, am I pronouncing the person's name right? YouTube are probably better at saying the person's name.
Donan Lascaris.
Well, let's just focus on the first name. I'm never going to get the last name.
Donan, I say.
Donan? Okay, congratulations. Powerful image. And I know there was a lot of feedback given on all the images that if you're the photographer, you might have thought of them as critical. But I think that what the judges all felt, and I'll speak for the judges that aren't here, that these were all 6 were powerful images and deserved to be in the finals. They were all great images, but like any image, it's subjective, and different judges are going to give them feedback on how they can improve it. And whether that was possible or not, who knows? But they gave you feedback on things you can do to improve these type of shots in the future, and their thoughts on different things that they would have done if they could have. So hopefully you don't take that too negative. I know I've lost a friend once because I gave her critique, and it was on a shot she took of the baby, and it wasn't on her baby. It wasn't a great shot of her baby, and I critiqued the shot, and she took it as a critique of the baby. And we were no longer friends. And I tried to tell her, it's nothing to do with your child. Your child's wonderful.
That's a tough one.
It is. We all do that. We look at it. We look at photos of our kids with different emotion than we do of photos of other people's kids. Anyway, this is a great image. Congratulations on all of our winners and all the finalists. Great job, and thank you for being in the contest. The next challenge for January is already up, and it is documentary. That's going to be interesting. Topic we have not covered before.
I might have a few shots for that.
Awesome. I think Doug has already submitted one.
Doug's in it already.
Yeah. With a great entry into the contest, the challenge.
Cool.
Again, I know Doug was a little late coming in, so he didn't get to hear us. Of course, the recorded version will be available soon on YouTube. That's usually the first place you get it. iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spreaker. We now have over 7,000 followers on Spreaker. I don't know what's going on over there. And
awesome.
And on TiVo, and you can get audio version, you can get video version. There will also be show notes with all the comments we just had. I won't say what judges is what. Some of you may be able to read into it and figure out, but we'll have all those comments there, and so you can go back and read them exactly what they said versus how I read it. Just give me a few days to get all that ready, and that's it, right, Tim?
I think so.
Nothing else. AD, thank you for coming out.
Thank you for having me, man. I want to do this more. You guys are awesome. Yeah,
we would love to have you more often. I wrote down that you're going to come back and do a show on watermarks.
Oh boy, here we go.
That's a whole show.
Hey,
that was a quote.
I recorded that.
Wait till the end of my career for that one.
Well, we'll talk to you offline about some other potential times coming on. And thank you for coming out. And thank you everybody out in chat for coming. Don't forget to, if you're one of the 6, to send me your email so I can forward it on to AD so you can get that.
Yes.
All right. Until next show, keep it raw. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Could we do, right before we leave, can we do one, since somebody asked out in chat, can we do one critique?
Sure.
Of one of the images? And I don't know how you're going to get to see this well. And AD, you may have to go to the...
She posted a link in the chat. I can just call it up in a window over here. I don't know. Or is it somewhere else? I got to look for it.
Well, I need to find it myself.
So while you're finding it, can I take a quick second to plug something crazy?
Absolutely.
So in the Arcanum, I met this dude, this friend of mine now. His name is Ollie Dale, and he's a master from New Zealand. Ooh. And we kind of got to talking and all this kind of stuff. And Ollie is flying to you. He's a filmmaker, and he's going to fly to the United States, and he and I are going to tour the United States for 30 days in July. And we're driving, and we're going to do photo walks and all sorts of workshops across the United States: New York, Tampa, Dallas, Austin, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Seattle. So that's our plan for this July. Wow. So we're going to have a thing up, and what I thought would be really cool, and this is totally up to you, but maybe during the month of July we could do something like live on the show from the road.
Absolutely.
I think that sounds great.
Yeah, that sounds great.
I think it would be fun.
Yeah, let's.
It won't be Arcanum stuff. It's really just about Ollie and I traveling around together and getting in as much trouble as we possibly can. We're going to film the whole thing. And
that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see. I don't know if I can get along with a Kiwi for a whole month, but
okay. She put a link out there in chat.
Yep.
And I am going to.
Oh, I've seen this image.
I'm going to get it here so I can put it in the, there we go, in the stream. Okay. Right? This is the right one, Alicia?
Well, I don't think she's going to see it yet, so.
Yeah, it'll be 35 seconds or so before she sees it.
It's the girl in the circle, correct?
Yeah, it came up faster for me than I thought. So yeah, it's the girl in the circle.
Gotcha. So are you going to do this, or am I going to do this, or is this? How do you want to do it?
If you don't mind, you.
Sure, I'll take a whack at it.
Okay.
Cool subject matter. Always, my thing is I love abandonments. If you've been to my site, then you kind of figure that out. I'm like an odd world travel photographer. That's kind of what I'm calling it these days. And I absolutely love mixing in any type of abandonment with models and people, because I think it's just a cool mixture of those two. So I dig that for sure. It looks like an old train depot or something back there. It's really cool. So that's a great framing of the shot. I like the use of a fisheye. I'm not really keen on a circular fisheye, but it's creative and that's cool. The problem is with a fisheye, and I do this all the time, if you are going to go symmetrical, which is what you've done here, then you have to nail symmetry. You just can't be kind of symmetrical. So it unbalances the shot. And in fisheyes, you'll pull your hair out if you stick a model and then you're trying to do symmetry and then you add a fisheye effect to that. It becomes a very difficult shot. So this is a good attempt, but the symmetry is off a little bit. So you can see a little bit more of the bricks on the right side of the photo and not so much on the left. She's almost in the center. I think I would have liked to seen her center up quite a bit. This is one of those shots where don't have your model in the shot, get your shot set, and then have the model come in, and then you can instruct her. You're not moving around. You've got your shot all lined up, and then you can bring your model in and say, move to the left, move to the right, and kind of get them more center. The processing is a little, I don't know if it's the gray that you've used for the background. I think I would have gone with black there because you've got black in the jacket, and it makes the photo look light or missing in contrast. And I don't think it's really that. So I think it's just the background, the gray in the background's doing it, and making it look like the photo is a little bit less contrasty. And an image like this kind of cries out for things like my texture pack to be added to this. It's kind of a gothic scene. It's just, girl with green hair. I mean, you've got this kind of vibe going on. So take it over the top and do a little bit of that with it too. I don't dislike the backlighting. Ideally, it probably would have looked cooler if you would have let the sun go down even more for this shot and maybe filled it a little bit with a flash. Was this shot with a DSLR, or was it shot with like an iPhone, or what am I looking at? Do I know?
It doesn't say in the anywhere in it.
Nope.
Would it help any for the model to be back further, maybe in the arch? And then cut out the bricks altogether?
Well, you could do that, yeah, and that is a good suggestion, Mike. Is actually if you're not going to really get that symmetry in there, but the building is kind of leaning to the left as well. Fisheyes are really picky when it comes to lines, and unless you can get them exactly perfect, then it's going to look kind of tilted. And we kind of these days we shy away from what we call the Dutch angle. We're not trying to add any type of energy or action or anything to the shot by tilting it at all. So in this scene, it's, I would try to make sure you got that perfectly lined up. And, great subject. Like I said, everything's here. All the elements are here. It's just working on execution and trying different things while you're out there. So I see here too, it says she did quite a bit of post-processing skywise and editing out people. So that always sucks when you've got the Walking Dead in your shot.
You have to edit them out. She did this with a 60D and a 17-55 lens. Okay. And it's a fisheye attachment.
Gotcha. So the fringing is from the fisheye, so that's okay. Yeah, I think, Mike, you got a great point there. Maybe draw a triangle between the wall points of the doorway and where she would stand. Put her right in there and start there. I mean, you don't always know if that's going to be where the final shot's going to be, but try that to have her, in the arch itself. That might look cool. But yeah, that I would get the brick out of there. I think that the brick itself is kind of, the color of the brick and stuff doesn't really work with the stone. I don't think, I mean, even though it's in the arch, it isn't really working because I don't know if it's because it's off center or what, but it's kind of just there. And I think I would go with just grass on that, but again, subjective things to try. I think the whole idea, and I want to mention before too, one of the things I explained to all of my students is there is a huge difference between criticism and a critique. And I think if you deliver a critique the right way, and I don't think that the right way is to type a critique on the internet. I think people really have to hear it. They really have to hear you talk about it because you know how the internet is. You can type things and they can be taken the wrong way and all that stuff, and it becomes criticism. So this is all critique and all subjective, just ideas to throw out there to get your creative juices going, and that always equals a better photograph in the long run. So
You know, I may include some of this in the show because that's a good point, and I may cut out the whole IP Viking part.
Oh, come on!
But you know, that's a good point. Is it really helps to hear the person talk, because I think we often, when you read somebody's comments, you may read a tone into the comments that's not there, and hearing somebody. You know, even the ones I had to read tonight, you know, I put my own tone to it as I read it. But, you know, Mark and Ron and Andy and Kathleen may have had a different tone than the way I read it. And I think all of you guys, all the judges who are all professionals, came at this from a standpoint of wanting to be helpful and wanting to give, you know, your honest feedback on the image, and not from a standpoint of being critical of the photographers, just adding, giving them additional value. And, you know, that's something that, you know, some of the Facebook groups run into too, where you only see the typing back and forth, and somebody may take it as a different tone than what was meant. But also some people are harsher than they need to be on that. Remembering that everybody started off at a different level. Everybody's at a different level. Not everybody started off as a genius photographer, and you got to give people some time to, you know, to get that experience and give them feedback that's going to help them, not just, I don't like this photo.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's, I think you know, myself not included, picked an excellent group of people who their motivation behind wanting to do this is not anything other than helping other people move forward in their creative photography. And I think that's important, because there are, you know, the bridge keepers, as we call them, or the trolls out there that get in these groups sometimes, and their only intention is really to try to put themselves up on a different level by blurting out all this stuff about every photo that they look at. And I think that, you know, I have always had, and I was the brunt of a lot of that when I first started, and it set me back quite a bit because I listened to it. And I just tell people, you just, you know, if it isn't constructive and they're not looking for what you can move forward on and finding good things in your photo, if they're just going, yeah, I don't get this photo, it's, you know, this is ridiculous, or, you know, they start out like that, you can pretty much bet that their intentions aren't to help you at all. And I think that in the group of people that you picked, I think everybody in that group was really on that. They really just looking to help people move forward and get them to, you know, and everybody that we teach in the Arcanum or anywhere, even not even there, but the whole goal in teaching is I hope they surpass me and are, you know, rise up and do way better than I'm doing. And that's what makes me feel great to see that, you know. It is.
Doug has a great comment out there in chat, and one that is sometimes and now all of a sudden I'm getting it's circling the video. We're still streaming, aren't we?
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm streaming.
Says everything's going.
Doug had a great comment out there in chat, and he said, I'll read it word for word. A photographer wanting a critique must remove their emotional attachment from their work being critiqued. The viewer doesn't have the emotional attachment to a photo that the photographer does. Critiques will make you grow in a positive direction. And that is so true, that especially, you know, some people, let's say a parent who's getting into photography through their kids, they will take a critique of their photography as a critique of their children, and they got to separate themselves from that and look at it from the critique of the image. Okay, and that's sometimes difficult. Maybe you need to take pictures of somebody else's kids to get that critique, because you can't get past it. Because, you know, I when I shot sports a lot, I would have parents who would pull images off the website and tell me that they blew them up and have them on the wall. And I'm thinking, I put up like a 800 by 600 image and you made that 16 by 20. And they're telling me how great it is. And there's no way it was great, but it was of their kids, so they thought it was great.
Right.
And divorcing yourself from that emotional attachment, which is hard, and listening to the critique, and you may not always agree with the critique, but listening to it and growing from that and learning from it is the thing to do, while still maintaining your own artistic style. You know, not everybody's going to like everybody's artistic style, but it doesn't mean you can't learn something from somebody else's critique.
Absolutely. And I think the other side of the coin of that is that as the person giving their critique, don't give them unless they're asked for.
Yeah,
because a lot of times I see a lot of photographers, just nobody's asking for a critique, but yet they seem to have to, and generally that doesn't turn out very well.
Right. Alicia had a comment about she was self-taught, and I think there's a lot of people who out there now, photographers who are self-taught. For me, and I have tons of weaknesses in my photography. One of my biggest weakness is post-processing. I really need to improve my post-processing. So, you can get some from video, that kind of stuff, but you may want to look into some kind of workshop. It can be an online workshop, something. You can join the Arcanum, along with, and maybe have 80 Wheeler here or Ron be your master. But, getting involved in something that's going to help you improve whatever your weakness is that you want to be working on. Trial and error is great, but sometimes you got to go a little beyond trial and error and learn from others.
Well, and trial and error is the long road.
Yeah.
I mean, it is the long, long, long road.
Right.
I mean, that's, just on the Arcanum side of it too, something they just started doing. If, you don't want to get into the classes and all that crazy kind of stuff, they just opened up what we call the Grand Library, which is all of the tutorials that we do and all of the critiques that we do for every apprentice is available to the public to watch and to learn from. And it's a reduced price thing, so that you don't have to pay, for the whole classes and all that stuff. You can just go in and watch videos. And these are videos that are not available out on YouTube, and they're nowhere other than in this, private thing. And it's tutorials. So it helps you with Photoshop and all that stuff, but it's guys like Rick Salmon and Don Komarechka is in there, and myself, and Ron does stuff, Arena Patel. I mean, amazing people in there really pouring into this whole library of videos. So, I mean, even if you don't want to go the full boat of doing the Arcanum, which is, can be expensive for some folks, I think it's like $19 for unlimited access to the library. Wow. So it's pretty good deal. Good.
Well, thank you, and thank you for hanging out this long, and for sharing this with everybody too.
Oh, absolutely. This is short for me. You understand? I'm generally like the Creation Wars was 4 hours last night. I'm generally in every hangout that I do for critiques at least an hour. Okay. So yeah, I'm doing this all the time. So I'm happy to be here, and cool beans, man. Anytime.
Okay. Yep. Thank you, Tim. Good night,
all right, everybody. Gentlemen. Good night. See you next week, Mike.
Yep. Good night.
See you, Tim. See you, Mike.
Good night.